Alright, welcome back to the Civil Rights Lawyer channel. This is actually one of those videos where I have some breaking news for you. So there has been a huge scandal brewing at the West Virginia State Police, and I have brand new information on that. I mean, we have affairs with the top individuals, the top senior staff. We have lying, we have falsification of records, falsification of reports, stealing taxpayer money. We have, recording the girls' locker room, fights, all sorts of stuff. Just crazy. And the level of specificity, you know that guy knows. So it was in the news the past few days that there was some sort of investigation very high up in the West Virginia State Police that had the governor concerned. It was being covered by a reporter named Kenny Bass at WCHS. Well, it all had to do with this letter that was sent to some very important people by a whistleblower inside the state police who had very, very specific information about misconduct. Well, that letter has not been released until now. I was provided with a copy of it, and really the allegations are absolutely nuts, and they're very specific. And I actually already went through all of them, and I'm going to tell you about them, and I already went ahead and ranked them from 10 all the way down to 1, and you're not going to believe number 1. These have to do with the highest ranking individuals at the West Virginia State Police, including the guy who's in charge of what they call professional standards. So basically the internal affairs. His name, you'll see, is mentioned over and over and over again. I think this answers a lot of questions that I've had about why there's a lack of accountability for law enforcement in West Virginia. This calls into question the integrity of just so many criminal investigations, so many prosecutions. You name it. All right, number 10. And these are all allegations that are made by this anonymous whistleblower who wisely did not sign his name, but provided specific information and pointed to where evidence can be found. And apparently that evidence has been found, because I was told just this morning that the head of the West Virginia State Police was fired this morning. Number 10 allegation here. A current member of the state police is in a grievance process. Captain Roy Moss, the director of legal services, stated to his attorney that Major Finley, that is the guy who's head of professional standards, who's supposed to be investigating other state troopers, Major Finley during a hearing had misspoke/lied, stating he made a mistake in testimony. And there's no oversight for state police administrators. All right, so we have documented lie by the one state trooper who's supposed to be making sure that the others are not engaging in misconduct and have integrity. So that's number 10, and it's all downhill from there. Number 9. So body cameras and GPS trackers are being placed on troopers and field troopers' cruisers, but not being utilized by the ranking members and specifically senior staff of the state police. So basically, the guys at the top and women at the top are not following the rules that they make the other ones follow. They're not documenting their actions through body cameras that the others have to use in the GPS trackers. All right, number 8. In 2019 or 2020, Sergeant Brian Hammondtree, a state trooper, was caught stealing overtime from the members under his command. Sergeant Joshua McCoy at the South Charleston Detachment discovered the fraudulent activity that Hammondtree was doing. No investigation was conducted due to his friendship with Major James Finley. Again, the guy in charge of basically internal affairs for the entire state police. This guy was then transferred to the West Virginia Turnpike, and then while on the Turnpike, he made approximately $144,000. Based on his gross income, in order to make that money, he violated department policy and double-dipped, counting hours for regular duty and contract pay. Major James Finley, same guy, and Captain Greg Stallnaker also made in excess of $110,000. So senior staff members are not governed or monitored. They are exempt, which means they have to work 189 hours a month. They are not obligated to a specific schedule or obligated to calls for service. This allows them to manipulate their hours, even falsify, in order to work contracts and grants. Major Shalon Oglesby, and you'll hear that name again several times, on just one incident, has counted 6 hours of DUI grant money and never even worked the DUI checkpoint. Can be confirmed by CDDP director and members at the checkpoint. All right, number 7. I mentioned this person. Major Shalon Oglesby utilizes a grant, National Criminal History Improvement Program. This is one of the top staff members, senior staff at the state police. Utilized a grant program to pay herself extra overtime. Though she may contribute at times to the work outlined within the grant, there is documentation wherein she counted or claimed 17 hours in just one day utilizing some of this grant money when she in fact was not working. There are social media pictures of her and the Director of Human Resources on a girls' trip in Fayette County when she claimed she was working for the state police. All right, number 6. Lieutenant Colonel Nelson, and this is the number 2 guy in the West Virginia State Police, utilizes state police vehicles to travel throughout the state to meet women for marital affairs. I guess that means extramarital affairs. Specifically, he utilizes Troop 4's shop truck to further his marital affair and was caught by a member as he actively engaged in coitus inside the Troop 4 shop after hours. It's rumored that he had a sexual harassment complaint filed against him and is being investigated by the state police, to which Major James Finley, again Director of Professional Standards, is engaged in an affair with Major Shalon Oglesby, the Chief of Staff, by demonstrating a compromised and potentially biased judgment. Continues. Number 5. Major Shalon Oglesby has been involved in 3 crash incidents in her department. So again, this is the Chief of Staff. In her department vehicle that have not been subject to a crash report being completed against policy and have not been documented officially. There are repair records for replacement parts, etc. The department continues to suspend troopers for department crashes. Number 4. Now you'll hear again these same 2 names. December 16th, 2022, there was an altercation that occurred at the West Virginia State Police headquarters between retiring First Sergeant Michael Oglesby, the husband of Major Oglesby, and Major James Finley, the Director of Professional Standards, over the sexual relationship between Major Finley and Major Oglesby. The incident was broken up by Colonel Cahill, who was the head guy at the West Virginia State Police up until this morning. This Major Finley, the head of the Professional Standards, and Major Oglesby are alleged to have been caught in sexual conduct at the West Virginia State Police headquarters by custodians there. And now apparently there's a fight with the spouse of one of them that gets broken up by the head of the West Virginia State Police. Number 3, the state police authorizes a ghost account for purchasing classes and out-of-state travel. Specifically, and other unknown purchases are paid from this account. After the payment, the department then submits the bills to purchasing for reimbursement. When a logistics officer attempted to obtain more information, Connie Gundy, the head of purchasing, instructed this logistics officer not to ask questions above his pay grade and stated to just do it, that they could not afford an audit. Moreover, personal items are being purchased through a, quote, P card because it does not have to be bid out and doesn't require justification. So truck toppers and various other items were purchased, presumably with taxpayer money. Number 2, sexual assault complaints by 5 women alleged to have been perpetrated by a West Virginia State Police supervisor in Mingo County, Williamson Detachment, should be investigated. Hopefully that is being done. Now, here we go. Number 1. In 2018, Academy, this is the West Virginia State Police Academy, where all law enforcement officers in West Virginia have to go. Academy Deputy Director Joseph Putaro, now deceased, constructed a hidden camera system and placed it inside the women's locker room inside the gymnasium at the State Police Training Facility. Putaro obtained a hidden camera from the State Police Bureau of Criminal Investigations section and had the Academy purchase an external hard drive and utilized a series of D batteries as a power source to build the system. He claimed at the time he was doing it to catch a marital affair between the Chief of Staff and the lab director, and was convinced they were performing coitus in the locker room. Academy staff was aware of the situation, but was extremely fearful to come forward due to retaliation. After the guy died, Academy staff was cleaning out his staff room and discovered an external hard drive that contained hours of video footage wherein multiple females were recorded changing clothes. Academy staff contacted the Chief of Staff, Reginald Patterson, and gave him the evidence and notified him of the situation. Major Patterson communicated with Captain Shalon Oglesby, now promoted to Major and Chief of Staff, also a victims advocate and women's rights activist, and ordered the evidence destroyed and no investigation conducted. So it was covered up. Not only was there a hidden camera in the locker room, but it was all covered up. So, we have affairs with the top individuals, the top senior staff. We have lying, we have falsification of records, falsification of reports, stealing taxpayer money. We have, recording the girls' locker room, fights, all sorts of stuff. Just crazy. And the level of specificity, you know that guy knows. This is all, this sort of stuff was hinted at in the news and just recently, and the governor has already commented on it, but nobody knows the details until now. So these are the crazy details. And apparently there's a second letter. I haven't got it yet, and it has more to do with vehicle wrecks. I'm not sure if they're just not being reported or what. But what all of this calls into account the integrity of our criminal justice system. If they lied there, where else did they lie? This is one of those big situations where, just like where you have a crime lab person who ends up being corrupt. Somebody is going to have to dig through all these criminal cases and see what convictions were based on these individuals' testimony and so on. So I'm going to continue to follow this and see what other information I can get. What a tangled web we weave, right? So I'm sure I'll uncover all sorts of stuff here. So make sure to subscribe and follow along on the West Virginia State Police absolutely imploding from the top down. Remember, freedom is scary. Deal with it.